I was floored when the HOA slapped a foreclosure notice on my home over a measly $55 fine, but I had no clue that my dad's legal prowess was about to turn this nightmare into a triumph. Buckle up for a wild ride. Can you guess how I flipped the script on this injustice? It all started on a sunny morning when I opened my mailbox to find a letter that stopped me cold. The HOA was seizing my house over a $55 fine. My heart pounded as I gripped the paper, a mix of dread and disbelief washing over me. How could something so trivial threaten everything I'd worked for? I knew something was off, but I was clueless about how to fight back. Yet, I'd always been a model neighbor, kept my lawn tidy, my music low. But there was one person who made my life hell, Linda. She lived next door and griped about everything, the hum of my AC, leaves blowing into her yard, even my dog's occasional bark. Linda was the queen of entitlement, always stirring drama over nothing. I stayed polite, thinking kindness would prevail, but I was wrong. That morning, clutching the letter, I couldn't shake the thought that Linda's constant whining had painted me as the neighborhood troublemaker. Had she poisoned the HOA against me? Was this fine a weapon to punish me for existing? Determined to uncover the truth, I dove into research. I scoured online property records, HOA bylaws, and anything I could find. Hours blurred as I pored over dense documents, learning how a rule could be twisted to ruin someone. My resolve hardened. This wasn't just about $55, it was about power. I confided in a few neighbors, who whispered that Linda had a track record of causing chaos at HOA meetings, her voice drowning out reason. One neighbor, Tom, hinted she targeted others before. My suspicions grew. Was Linda pulling strings to get me out? I scribbled notes, mapped out property lines, and marked key locations: Linda's house, the HOA office. Every detail felt like a clue in a high-stakes mystery. Then I remembered my dad, James, wasn't just any lawyer. He was a legend in the courtroom, known for dismantling bullies like Linda. I hadn't told anyone about him yet, but a spark of hope ignited. Maybe his skills could save me. I started documenting every run-in with Linda. When she screamed from her porch about my noisy sprinklers, I recorded it. I kept a log of her glares, her loitering near the HOA office, each moment building a pattern. This wasn't just a fine, it was a vendetta. One afternoon, I hit the library, the scent of old books fueling my determination. Digging through archives, I found articles about our HOA's shady history, unfair fines, rulings that crushed honest folks. One story mentioned a family losing their home over a $100 dispute. My stomach churned. Was I next? I saved every article, knowing they'd be ammo later. That evening, staring at the letter, I made a vow: I wouldn't let this break me. I'd fight with everything I had. I planned to crash the next HOA meeting, armed with my maps and notes. I even considered leaking my story to the local news. If enough people knew, the HOA might buckle. But doubts gnawed at me. Would anyone believe me over Linda's shrill accusations? The morning of the meeting, I rehearsed my speech, keeping it clear enough for a kid to grasp. I packed my evidence and headed out, nerves buzzing. At the HOA office, Linda stood by the door, her icy stare boring into me. My pulse raced, but I reminded myself, the truth was my weapon. Inside, the board looked skeptical as I laid out my case, how a $55 fine had spiraled into foreclosure, how Linda's complaints fueled it. I showed my maps, cited bylaws. For a moment, the room was silent. Then Linda exploded, accusing me of disrupting the community. I stayed calm, letting her rant bury her. Some board members nodded my way, and I felt a flicker of victory. But the meeting ended vaguely, with no resolution. Frustrated, I posted a short video online, spilling my story in raw, honest words. It went viral in our town. Neighbors flooded my inbox with support, shocked that a tiny fine could lead to this. "Is this even legal?" one commented. The outrage grew, and I realized I wasn't alone. With Dad's help, we built a rock-solid case. He explained how HOAs could exploit minor infractions for control, pointing out errors in their records. We met with neighbors who'd faced similar issues, forming a small rebellion. One, Sarah, helped print flyers with bold, simple text exposing the HOA's overreach. We spread them across town, and Linda's hostility ramped up. She slipped nasty notes under my door, her glares now venomous. I stayed focused, knowing her anger meant she was losing. The turning point came when a local reporter, intrigued by my video, interviewed me. I walked her through my evidence, voice steady as I described Linda's reign of terror and the HOA's complicity. The story aired, and the community erupted. Neighbors demanded answers at the next HOA meeting, where Linda's shouting fell flat against my calm facts. The board squirmed, cornered by the truth. The showdown was in court. Dad and I had prepped for weeks, our evidence airtight. I faced the judge, heart steady, and presented my case, maps, articles, recordings, all proving the fine was a sham. Linda's lawyer tried to spin her as the victim, but my documentation crushed their lies. The judge ruled in my favor, halting the foreclosure. Relief flooded me as I left the courtroom, my home safe. Linda's face was a mask of fury, but she'd lost her grip on the neighborhood. This fight wasn't just about me, it exposed the HOA's abuse and Linda's bullying. Months later, the board overhauled its rules, and Linda moved away, unable to face the community's scorn. I turned a $55 fine into a beacon of justice, proving that truth and grit could topple even the most entitled foes. What do you think? Was Linda's vendetta just personal, or did the HOA enable her power trip? Share your thoughts in the comments. We'd love to hear your take on this drama and what you do in my shoes. Hit that like button if you're Team Truth, and subscribe for more stories of fighting the good fight.